Hey there, folks. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and thank you once again for joining me for another Pitch for Switch discussion. And you saw the thumbnail. I'm going to be talking about the 32X potentially being brought to NSO. Now, we already have the Sega Genesis on NSO. I've already done a video for Sega CD. And, I mean, it just feels incomplete if I don't do one for 32X. So I'm doing that. And I do that because, one, even though the library of games is small, I think it was only like 40 games total. Several of them not even being ported to other regions or localized to other regions, I should say. Which I think that was about 11 games that didn't get total localization. It was like 10 for the US that didn't go anywhere else. And then there was like one in Brazil that didn't go anywhere else. That all said, I think that the machine would be worth at least looking into the library. Looking into the library, seeing what games could be moved over and what games they can get the licensing for. Because these are games that not a lot of people have had the opportunity to play. One, because not everybody was going to go buy a 32X to put on their Sega Genesis. And two, because the 32X and Sega Saturn releasing around the same time frame confused the heck out of a lot of people. And it made a lot of the work for one pointless for the other because they used the same hardware. So it was a whole lot of jumbled stuff together with having both of these machines. And then there were some games that required the 32X and the Sega CD or Mega CD, depending on where you localize, which I think it was like 6 of those. So look, Sega during that time frame, 1994 to 96, was a confused child. Okay, they were a highly confused child and didn't know exactly what they were doing. But it's a loss to not have those games available to people or those versions of those games available to people. I think if they can get to dealing with whoever has the licensing for certain ones, which I don't think that they would have a problem with the games being taken and worked on to be used in an emulator on Nintendo Switch for NSO, because they get money from it. But it would be at least a nice part of gaming history that we don't really have our hands on unless you're digging through tons of different emulation sites. And then even then, most people that do aren't looking for the 32X or something like the Amiga or stuff like that. They really aren't looking for those for the most part unless they grew up with them. Which is why I'm even bringing this up. It's just like there are games out there that we in general didn't get to experience. I know I didn't get to really play anything off 32X, and I have a 32X. I have a 32X myself now because I ended up inheriting it from someone, but I don't have any of their cords for it, unfortunately. Get the hardware, but not the cables that go with it. Actually, I'll probably pick those up at some point and see if I can start physically collecting 32X games, even though they're going to be expensive as hell. But that's a side note for me, not for everybody else. It's just unfortunate that the console never really got more life out of it. I mean, if the 32X hadn't existed, those games probably would have been on the Sega Saturn. But it did exist, and they were on it, and people didn't really get to experience it. At least not that many people. And I just think that's unfortunate. Which is why I'm even rambling on about it in the first place. I think more people should be able to play Knuckles Chaotix, or Afterburner Complete, or BC Racers, Blackthorn, Brutal. It was Brutal, right? It was called Brutal. That version of Doom. it would just be nice to have that stuff out there for people to be able to get to. And I don't think that hurts anything. I don't think that hurts anyone making that stuff available if they can get the licensing taken care of, because I know it's going to be a pain in the butt. I know for a fact it's going to be a pain in the butt. But it'd probably be worth it. Let people experience that version of Virtua Fighter, the first one, which played superior to the original release on the Sega Saturn until Virtua Fighter Remix came out. It's just a way to let people engross themselves in history and maybe find stuff that they like that they would have never liked before let me re-speak. Let people find stuff that they like that they probably would have liked before that they never had a chance to attempt at playing. Because I think, what was it, Spider-Man Web of Fire was on there, and I've never played that myself. I mean, if they can work with Disney and Marvel and cut up some sort of deal, I don't even remember who was the developer for it. But even still, I think Sega was the publisher. Either way, they could probably work something out. And it'd be cool. Like a little bit of gaming history that people didn't really get the chance to experience. Bring it to them. Let them have some fun with it. But I don't want to run off too much more. I think I've talked enough. And yeah, I haven't played really any of the games, but I've looked up the library before and seen videos for some of the games, which is why I bring it up. But that'll be it for me. Thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody.